Hi, I'm Reverend Patricia Adams Farmer, minister of Millersburg Christian Church, and the title of my sermon today is Nothing is Lost. Nothing is Lost. And it's based on Luke chapter 15, verses 8 through 10. Have you ever lost anything? Really valuable? Remember that feeling of dread that you have when you realize it's gone? After my 24th wedding anniversary, I had such an experience. I'd like to share an essay I wrote at that time, which was included in my first book, Embracing a Beautiful God. It could have fallen anywhere. At the produce section of the grocery store, in the busy waiting room at the dentist office, along the winding trail where I take my morning walks. It could have fallen into a drain. God forbid it could have fallen into the toilet and been flushed into the netherworld below. But it fell onto the dark green emerald carpet in my home, right in my own bedroom, and it fell at night before bed, waiting to be found in the early morning light. My diamond, my only diamond, the one that is perched faithfully in my engagement ring for 24 years, it fell out of its setting and onto the emerald green carpet without a sound, without warning. It just fell. It could have fallen anywhere, but it chose to fall in a most auspicious place. My husband discovered it with surprise the next morning. His not-so-good vision without glasses still picked up the tiny brilliant light. The sweeper could have whooshed it away. The cats could have swallowed it. Oh, all that did not happen to this tiny, shiny thing that I have treasured for 24 years. We could have bought another one. Yes, a bigger one. But no, this is the one I have kept close to my heart, the one we picked out together in our financially slim days of seminary when we couldn't even afford a matinee at the movies. It was small, but it was huge, hugely beautiful, signifying a commitment that would last a lifetime. Finding the lost diamond on the emerald green carpet was a blessing of great proportion. I felt gratitude, yes, and awe, and a sense that God knows when things fall out. Precious things, like friends that pass away, or dreams that fall out of the sky, like sunbeams that dance playfully on the sea at twilight, now gone into the cold and empty darkness. People and things and dreams fall out sometimes. But if we look into the deep and rich hues of our faith, we will find these precious stones of our lives shimmering in a new place, waiting to be found and treasured in a new way. All is not lost. Our loved ones shimmer in a new setting that we call heaven. Our lost dreams dazzle more brilliantly than ever when spotted against the rich dark mysteries of life. God knows when things fall out or fall down or fall apart. And God knows that precious things like people we have loved or joy that doesn't sparkle as it once did, these things, like my diamond, are not lost. They have fallen onto the deep, soft places of God's heart where they are loved and mended and made whole. Nothing is lost in God's eternal embrace, for it can hold everything big and small. Precious things are not whooshed away. They don't get flushed. They are close, even if we can't see them, because nothing of value perishes. Oh, I wonder of this tiny, shiny thing that was found even before it was lost. I think God's huge embrace must wrap clear around the world, scooping up diamonds like falling stars and giving them eternal brightness. Again, this story was written 20 years ago, and I have never stopped losing things since. In our text today, we see another tiny, shiny thing, a coin that is lost. And even though the woman has plenty of others, she sweeps and searches until she finds this one coin. It reminds us that God cherishes every tiny thing, and when it is lost, it is always found. and there is great rejoicing in heaven. If the coin is a tiny piece of humanity, a flawed and lost individual or group, we learn something of the nature of God in this text. We learn that God is like a woman seeking a lost coin and will not rest until it is found. God is the one who collects and saves coins, who saves all who are lost. And that means you and me, for we are all sinners and all lost in one way or another. And what is a sinner but a person who is human, made up of experiences and stories, some sad and some wonderful? What happens to all of our stories as they pass away, or when we pass away? The great philosopher Alfred North Whitehead said, God's nature is best conceived, that of a tender care, that nothing be lost. Tender care, that nothing be lost. This is the God of love. It will never rest until we are found, until nature is whole, until the poor are fed and the weak are made strong. God does not put up with losing things. God's tender care is that nothing be lost. There is grief when we lose things, and we lose so much. During these days of COVID, we are grieving so many losses. Like a lost coin or a lost diamond, lost pieces of our lives. Even if we haven't lost a loved one or friend, we have lost our normal lives, our normal worship, our normal relationships of physical closeness. Some of us have even lost our bearings, as nothing is the same anymore. All of it takes a toll on us, on our spirits, on our outlook. The losses that we feel are indeed losses, and to be grieved fully. But we also know that in the heart of God, nothing is lost. All is saved and transformed in the heart of God for eternity. That is a consoling bit of theological reflection during these days of pandemic fatigue and continual loss. Sometimes we even lose God, or we think we have. The imprint of God is in us somewhere, but we often lose sight of it. And so we make it our quest to find God again, to find that spark of the divine in ourselves and in one another. And when we do, we become sensitive to lost things. With that divine searcher for lost things alive within us, we begin to care when children are lost to their parents at the border, when people lose their jobs and lose their dignity, when families lose all sense of food security, or when decency and morality are lost in our nation to greed and selfishness. When we lose over 200,000 fellow Americans to COVID, oh yes, these are losses. And we are called by God to feel these losses and to join in the search for the lost values that we find in our Savior Jesus the Christ, for goodness and mercy and kindness and peace and justice. We are called to be searchers, questers, and menders for all that has fallen out, or fallen down, or fallen apart. Once, when I was in high school, we were in our band was honored to march in the Rose Bowl parade in Los Angeles. And so we high schoolers went, oh gosh, when we got to Los Angeles, we went all over Disneyland. We did all the fun things in California that children love to do, including Knott's Berry Farm, where all that delicious jam is made. There, they had a wonderful park with rides, and one was an old-fashioned log ride, where you get into the log, which is like a long boat, and you go down a kind of whooshing waterfall. I was very daring back then, and so down we flew, my friends and I, into the water, screaming our heads off. And when we finished and dried off, we were blissfully drenched. I realized that I was missing a contact lens, and we searched the log boat, my friends and I, and they even stopped the ride so that we could all look for the contact. At that time, these were very special contact lenses and very expensive, not the disposable kind that we have today. But alas, We could not find the contact. The contact was lost. So I left my name and address with the folks at Knott's Berry Farm, as they routinely asked people to do, but I didn't expect anything. About a week later, after I got home, I got a little package from California. In it, neatly packaged as soft tissue, was my contact lens. It was like a miracle. The gratitude I felt for those people at Knott's Berry Farm was something close to awe. It restored my faith in humanity. Someone cared enough to keep looking. Sometimes looking for lost things is not just personal, it's something we do together for the common good. And when we know we are not alone in our losses, we experience God's presence in a special way in the world of lost things. Yes, God knows when things fall out, or fall down, or fall apart. And God knows that precious things, like people we have loved, or joy that doesn't sparkle as it once did, these things, like my diamond, are not lost. They have fallen unto the deep, soft places of God's heart, where they are loved and mended and made whole. Nothing is lost in God's eternal embrace. For as the writer Madeline Lingale said, each tree and leaf and star show how the universe is part of this one cry, that everything, that every life is noted and is cherished, and nothing loved is ever lost or perished. Amen.